This door was designed to save lives. After September 11th, cockpit doors became stronger, harder to open, and harder to force. The idea was simple. Keep danger out. But on March 24th, 2015, on Germanwings flight 9525, that logic turned inside out. The captain was outside the cockpit. The aircraft was descending. Air traffic controllers were calling. And the one door built to protect the plane became the one barrier nobody could get through. This is not only a crash story. It is a story about a safety system that protected against one threat and missed another. The flight began as a normal scheduled trip from Barcelona to Duesseldorf. It was an Airbus A320. 150 people were on board. 2 pilots, 4 cabin crew, 144 passengers. The aircraft climbed, reached cruise, and followed a route that should have taken it north across Europe. There was no emergency call, no explosion in the air, no weather event that forced it down. The first visible sign that something was wrong was much quieter. The cockpit door closed, and the flight deck was divided into inside and outside. The cockpit door was not a mistake by itself. It was part of a security system built after a different kind of fear. If a threat was in the cabin, the door needed to hold. If someone tried to force their way in, the door needed to resist. For that threat model, the logic made sense. But every safety design has an assumption hidden inside it. This one assumed the danger was outside the cockpit. Germanwings showed the opposite case. What if the person who needed to be stopped was already inside? What if the person who needed access was outside? Then the same barrier that protects the aircraft can trap the rescue on the wrong side. According to the investigation, the first officer was alone in the cockpit when the aircraft began to descend. The autopilot settings were changed. The aircraft left cruise altitude, and the descent toward the French Alps continued. Controllers called the flight. There was no answer. Other attempts followed. Still, the aircraft kept descending. The captain returned to the cockpit door and tried to get back in. But the door remained locked. Now the story became a countdown. A falling altitude line, a locked door, and mountains ahead. For the final minutes, the most important object on the aircraft was not an engine. It was not a wing. It was a door. From the cabin side, the captain tried to return. From the cockpit side, there was no response that could save the flight. The aircraft continued down. The terrain rose on the flight path, and the door did what it had been built to do. It resisted entry from outside. That is the paradox. The door did not fail like a broken machine. It worked inside a situation its designers had not centered, but the door was only the visible part of the failure. Behind the locked door was another system. Medical certification, self-reporting, confidentiality, and the question of when private medical information becomes a public safety issue. The BEA report did not treat the crash as a simple door problem. It pointed to gaps in the way medical fitness was monitored between checks. It also described pressures that can make pilots hide problems. Fear of losing the right to fly. Financial consequences. Unclear rules about when confidentiality should yield to safety. The disaster was not only one decision in one cockpit, it was a chain of gaps. After Germanwings, Aviation reacted quickly. EASA recommended that at least 2 crew members should be in the cockpit during flight, but the longer response went beyond one rule. Regulators looked at pilot mental fitness, psychological assessment, peer support, oversight of aeromedical examiners, drug and alcohol testing, and better ways to share critical medical information without destroying trust in the entire system. Because that is the hard part. If pilots are punished for asking for help, they may hide. But if warning signs never move, passengers are exposed. A cockpit door cannot solve that. The locked door was not evil. It was not useless. It was a rational answer to one kind of danger. But Flight 9525 showed that safety is not one barrier. It is layers, people, medical systems, reporting rules, support structures, cockpit procedures, and the humility to ask what a system cannot see. 150 people died in the French Alps. The lesson is not that doors are bad. The lesson is that a locked door can stop danger from entering, but not if danger is already inside.